Now I would like to introduce Professor Calvin Pang, S.H. Ho Research Professor of Visual Sciences at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, also recognized on the Ophthalmologist Power List 100. His presentation is titled Training and Mentoring of Clinician and Basic Scientists in Ophthalmology. Welcome, Professor Pang.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great pleasure, honor to present some of our work here before esteemed, audiences like that. You make me with fear and trembling, Neil, right? But I suggest two topics to Professor Dennis Lam. One's on our work on ocular genomics, and the other is on training education. And then Dennis chose this topic. This is sort of work that we've been doing, and I'm very, very glad to have this opportunity to share with you all some of this work on the training and education. And then you may notice I'm not an eye doctor. I'm still learning from my clinical colleagues, but then I've been very privileged to be working together with them over the years. So ophthalmology and visual sciences, that we are all working together, no matter whether you have Chris department doesn't have visual sciences there, but it's also visual sciences in the department. So we all work together on the clinical medicine side and the research medicine side. And back at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, ophthalmology, our patient base, which I keep on saying is our power base, right, is in Hong Kong. And then we have an eye center in Shanghai. The new eye center has been built, and it will be in operation later this year, and you will be all invited to come and help us and advise on us. Now, this is a slide of photos. In a way, it's like to introduce to you, faculty members of the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. However, this is a slide of concepts. You may see that the two photos, Clement and I, as the chairman and the immediate past chairman as a senior guides there. And on our two sides are our younger professors. Actually, so they're full professors. So it took us about 12 to 15 years to produce these four full professors. And actually before them, there are other older ones. But then we're very glad that they have not just haven't left us, right? They moved to take up leading positions, right? One, of course, very distinguished is, of course, Chris, still our brother, that we still work very closely together. Chris is in Hong Kong, but some other colleagues have moved, abroad, and we are still working together. So this is the work we've been doing. The senior professors, help, and well, I wouldn't say help, but work together with younger ones. And our aim is that to nurture them into full professors. And you can see that the second line, these are associate professors and assistant professors, and hopefully, so in 1 or 2 years, right, they will be becoming full professors. For us, full professors is one that can really be, doing work representing, not just the department, but ophthalmology, visual sciences to the world. All this is possible because of our two even more senior professors, and of course, Professor Dennis Lam. So because of Dennis' work, all this become possible. And because Dennis had laid the directive and the foundation to do that, so we are able to do this not on the research side, but on the training education side. And of course, Dennis been working closely together with me and Clement for some years, and he is always there. Of course, he's here, right? So Dennis had never left us behind. So we continue to work together, and it is a great advantage of the Chinese University of Hong Kong team that you don't have. We have Dennis, right? And Dennis is able to do this because of the late Professor Mark Cho. We give Professor Cho our due respect. We deeply loved Professor. He passed away a year ago, and he laid this foundation, founded the department so that we can work on this. So we are very, very grateful to have Professor Mark Cho laying the foundation. So a bit of the details now, that's the concept behind, that's our mission and the directive that's been set by Professor Dennis Lam to me and to Clement, particularly Clement at the current chairman of the department. So the rest are sort of, detailed work that I'm sure you're familiar about, that sort of work that we've been doing. So as a academic department, we're about, 30 years, so it's not that old. We try to think ourselves a bit young, right? So we do clinical services, professional training, education, research, community engagements, international collaborations, and some of our Chinese professors are with mainland China. We are very glad we have the privilege to do Chinese program together. So we are able to work together with hospital doctors of the government in Hong Kong. So that's our advantage. Hong Kong Eye Hospital and Prince of Wales Hospital Eye Center and the Hong Kong Children's Hospital, we look after the ophthalmic service there. And we have our private hospital, private hospital, the CHK Medical Center. So private and public, we work together. That you're all familiar with this clinical and research subspecialties that we work on all these major areas. And over the years, we're very privileged to have donations, special grant. Chris grant is very special, I can tell you. Right? And but we also got some grants and to enable us, like any academic institutions, donations to set up our research infrastructure and research laboratories. No, so it is visual sciences, and we are to train and to nurture clinician scientists and basic scientists. Therefore, we need to have research laboratory facilities, and of course, research facilities are very, very expensive, right? So we could only specialize in that. So we set up just a few laboratories with specific technologies. For example, the multiphoton confocal microscope, which is a love of Chris, right? And of course, many of our other, colleagues, right? And molecular biology and genomics. So that's the multiphoton confocal microscope. We keep, upgrading it, and we invest quite a bit of money in it. But that is all worthwhile. We all know that. And molecular genomic laboratories. We also do some analytical chemistry because we work on herbal molecules. We like to analyze, drugs, small molecules. So we have GCMS and LC-10MS and animal laboratories. We're very privileged to have the university supporting animal holding. We just have the holding facility, right? And we look after the Hong Kong Children's Hospital, ophthalmic services, and we also have research laboratories there. In terms of research innovations, we still want to focus. So it is glaucoma, led by Carmen, and of course Pullman, maculopathies, myopia, and children's eyes, eye care. There's of course Jason, ophthalmic imaging, and AI, Carol, and Pullman, and eye genetics guy. And so we sort of overlap. We all have PIs in these special areas that are special foci of research in the department, and but then we also help one another. So one very to us is a major training program is the Ophthalmic Microsurgical Training Center. This is not for the department, but for Hong Kong. So Hong Kong resident doctors of ophthalmology have to be trained here for our program. So this is one, to us, very important contribution and workload for us. So this is open to Hong Kong, and then we have work contracts with the hospital authority. Resident doctors in Hong Kong have to go through this training program, so we're glad to be able to do that. And community engagements. Now, we have donations to do community service. However, we all know that we are university professors, right? So we have to do research. So in community work, we also give us opportunity to collect data, population data. And that's why that helps us as well. Our international commitments, for example, the APO, we're glad to be able to host this APO Hong Kong. And so in community research, service learning, that would be also for our young doctors, young professors, and even for senior ones like us, that it is always challenging and fruitful exercise for us. And we are very glad that this is part of our training and part of our job is to have the international leadership roles, and that's some of the roles that we've been doing over the years. Again, that's been working together very closely with Dennis. And so in terms of scientific training, professional training, undergraduate, postgraduate, professorial, right? And we do teaching training all in English. So Chris is University of Hong Kong, right? Ours Chinese University of Hong Kong. But all of us use English as our academic language. That's in Hong Kong, right? Teaching and training all in English. although we are called Chinese university, right? And we have external examiners from overseas and, of course, from mainland China as well. So make us, sort of internationally recognized and also assessed by external, experts. So that's what we do. And also we keep up our education work also by research. That's why we always try to generate new ideas. And for example, this is a flipped classroom concept that we've worked out. And international research, ophthalmic research student forum in collaboration with the Li Ka-shing Foundation, and we have the postgraduate resident doctor training, and very gladly we are able to have international collaborations and research networks. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad and privileged to be able to share with you part of our work in Hong Kong, but to us, it's an important part of work. I am very privileged. I'm not an eye doctor. I'm a so-called research professor, so-called, right? But I'm very glad to work together with my clinical colleagues on training and education for clinician scientists and basic scientists. And we are very glad to work together and really collaborate, multi-center, multi-cohort studies, and enjoy Hong Kong. Please, the Victoria Harbour is not always as calm as this, but always interesting, and try to see a bit of the light in Hong Kong from the peak at night. Thank you very much. Thank you.